Welcome to A-Level Literature. Today we're going to look at what you can expect from the course, and there's an activity for you to complete, and also we'll look at what you could possibly look at in the future careers-wise if you were to follow this course. The course itself, literature, is offered on the Workington Academy site, so you will have 2 class teachers and they will study a variety of texts with you. For the full A-level, there are 2 exams. Paper 1 is literary genres, and for this we focus on aspects of comedy. So the exam takes 2.5 hours, and it's closed book, which means you don't get to take the text in with you. This is the same as you already have at GCSE. So as you can see, you'll have 2 Shakespeare questions to complete, and then you'll have a third question where you compare to other texts that you've studied. At the moment, Year 12 are studying The Importance of Being Earnest, and later in the year we'll be looking at Small Island and the Poetry Anthology. In Year 13, we study crime writing, and there is a 3-hour exam for this one. For this, you have to look at applying skills that you've learnt to analyse an unseen passage. This is very similar to what we do for unseen poetry, but instead of poetry, it will be a prose text. You will then have a single text question, so you only focus on one of the books that you've studied. And then the third question or third essay will be comparing the other 2 texts that you don't use in your single text question. It is a lot of writing for 3 hours, but you'll find that as your time progresses at A-level, you get more used to writing for long periods of time and keeping your focus. The final thing that you do for A-level, for your full A-level, is a piece of, or 2 pieces of coursework. And so because we have 2 class teachers, you'll focus on 1 piece with one teacher and one with the other. One piece you focus on poetry, and it will be up to you which poetry texts you choose, but you pick a few poems by one author, and the other will be a prose text of your choice, and you look to apply critical theories, or as we talk about them today, it will be what is known as a critical lens. This covers 5 different aspects of literature, one of which we'll look at today. The entry requirements for the course, we expect students to achieve strong grade 5s in their literature and their language to be considered for the course. So it's the idea that whatever you achieve at GCSE, generally at A-level, you're looking to try and carry on with the same grades, if not higher. So if you were to achieve a 5 at GCSE, you should be aiming to try and get a C at A-level. So today, as I said, we're going to look at a critical lens, as we refer to it, and this one is Marxism. Now, there is no way I could go through Marxism and do it justice in the 10-15 minutes that we've got just now. But to give you a very quick impression, the idea is that Marxism, Karl Marx came up with the concept that there are the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And bourgeoisie are those who have money and have power, and the proletariat are the workers. And the bourgeoisie do everything in their power to control the proletariat and keep them in their place. And this can be applied in a variety of ways. You can look at it through business, you can look at it through media, and today we're going to look at it through a poem that you should hopefully be familiar with. It's on the GCSE spec. If you study the power and conflict poems, this is one of them. And so the idea is that you consider different aspects of Marxism as applied to this poem, and that's what I'd like you to have a go at doing today. I've bullet pointed 4 aspects to consider. So can you spot in the poem any issues relating to social class and wealth? It might be where it highlights the differences between social classes, or it highlights the difference between those, the haves and have-nots, I suppose is the best way to put it. Secondly, does it look at the exploitation of the working classes? This is where the people in power, the people with the money, use those of the working classes to keep themselves in power, and use those people and keep them where they are. The alienation of the working class, this is the idea that they are pushed aside and sort of made to feel separate from everybody else and made to feel that they're not worthy. And finally, the living and working conditions of different classes. If you're looking at a text from a Marxist perspective, does that text reinforce the expected working and living conditions of the working class versus the upper classes? Or does it try and break those expectations? Does it try and push against them? So what I'd like you to do, take 10 minutes. You have all of this on a piece of paper. Have a little look at the poem. The other thing I've got for you, I'm going to have to get rid of my face now so you can look at it properly very quickly, is a little bit of contextualization of the poem and of the writer. So I'm not going to read this out to you. It's on the handout that you've got, but it's a little bit of information that might help you understand why Blake wrote the poem and why it could fit into a Marxist interpretation. So once you have gone through the material, and you pause this video while you do that, spend 10 minutes to go through the poem and highlight any quotes that you think show any of the 4 points that I've made. And if you can, explain whether you felt Blake was writing from a Marxist perspective, that is, that he was very much highlighting the issues that the working class were facing and trying to break down the class divide, or whether he actually was a capitalist and was purporting to keep that structure in place. So pause the video now. Welcome back. Hopefully you've had a good time discussing and you've got some really interesting thoughts on this. Obviously, I'm not there with you to hear them, but your class teacher will have gone through some ideas with you. And if you would like to sort of pass on any of your ideas, feel free to get in touch. You can email me or send info back to have some feedback. I very quickly have highlighted a few things and just linked them to the different points. And again, it depends because it's all open to interpretation. It's how you justify these that makes the difference. So from my perspective, at the very beginning, I wandered through each chartered street. Well, the idea that chartered is a very structured, planned out. Who made those plans? Who decided where the streets ran? So this could be, again, the idea that the wealthy, those that have the control to make these plans, can actually use them to manipulate the working classes and exploit and alienate them. They can create it so that certain streets have those that are from a working class background living on them and separate them from other people in London. And trying to, almost like creating sort of ghettos, if you like, if you understand that term. And so you keep working through. I'm not going to go through everything that I've highlighted there, and there's probably other quotes that you've picked out and I haven't. And again, that's the beauty of literature. It's not about having a right or wrong answer. It's about being able to justify why you make the choices that you do. So as I said, you consider studying English literature. It might be because you enjoy reading, it might be because you enjoy debate, it might be that you're actually quite into your history and you like the idea of studying texts from different time periods and being able to look at the social background to them, because don't forget, we do need to think about the context of these texts, not just the texts themselves. But then when you get to it, somebody goes, well, what are you doing that for? Because, you know, what are you going to do with it when you get out of school or if you do a degree in it? And so if you have a little look on the internet, there's lots of information about careers that you can have in the future. I've just jotted a few of them down when I had a look. And so the idea is that if you were to do a degree, if you were to take this one step further and do English literature at degree level, it's actually one of those degrees that's quite sought after because it has a lot of transferable skills. This means that things that you apply or the skills that you use when you are studying a literature text can be applied in the world of work. Now, there are your obvious lines of employment: media and journalism, publishing, and that doesn't just mean writing your own book, but it means working in a variety of areas such as production and editing, things like copywriting and proofreading. Teaching, obviously, is something that quite a few people think of going into. And if you wanted to go to become a university lecturer, you'd actually have to carry your studies on further and do an MA or a PhD. There is also obviously advertising, marketing, PR work. All of these fall in quite comfortably with people who've studied literature. But then there's other aspects as well. So, for example, the public sector. This is the name given to people who work for local council or government, and covers a huge range of jobs, from civil service to working in the health sector and working in the armed forces and police. And in actual fact, is the sort of job that if you've got an English degree, because the skills are, as I say, transferable, they're quite keen, and it's the sort of job that you can do abroad as well as in the UK, so long as it's you're comfortable with where you go. And a lot of countries now are English speaking for their government work and their public sector, so it means you could travel abroad with your degree as well. Another aspect that people don't necessarily think about, because they think you have to do a degree in law, you can actually get a career in law following your undergraduate degree. And you can do quite a lot of jobs with only your English degree, such as working for independent legal firms as sort of a secretary and things like that. If you wanted to go further in law after you've done your degree, you can actually do a conversion course for a year as well. Same as if you wanted to become a teacher, you do a postgraduate diploma in teaching. And the other part, of course, is business. Everybody wants somebody who can communicate well. If you're very good with numbers too, there's absolutely nothing to stop you getting a job in accounting or finance. You just have to be able to prove that you're good at both aspects. So hopefully you've got an idea of what we do on the course. You've got an idea of what's expected from you on the course, and also where this course can take you. So, as I said, it's on the Workington Academy site for the West Coast Sixth Form. And hopefully, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. My name's Mrs. Sedley, or you can ask one of your English teachers at school, and they can always pass your query on. Thank you.